Here's today's starting grid. Brian Vickers with a new track record, and Elliott Sadler on the front row, the two fastest laps of the 2006 season.
In row 2, in the inside, Kurt Busch. On the outside, one of our chasers, Casey Kane.
On the inside of row 3, Jimmy Johnson. On the outside, Denny Hamlin. Two guys chasing the Nextel Cup.
In row 4, the rookie David Gilliland, and last week's winner, Tony Stewart.
Inside of row 5, Robbie Gordon, good qualifying run for him. On the outside, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Back in row 6 on the inside, Kyle Busch and Scott Riggs, teammate to Casey Kane on the outside.
Row 7, Bobby Labonte, next to Clint Boyer.
In row 8, on the inside, Carl Edwards. On the outside, in the 01 car, is Joe Nemechek.
On the inside of row 9 is David Stremme in the backup car, and Kenny Schrader on the outside.
Row 10 has the rookie Reed Sorensen and the former Nextel Cup Series champion Dale Jarrett.
On the inside of row 11, Kevin Harvick, another one of our chasers. On the outside, good run for Mike Bliss in the 49 car.
Jeff Gordon says he hopes he can go forward from the inside of row 12. Ryan Newman on the outside.
Right behind them in row 13, Casey Mears and J.J. Yaley.
On the inside, Jeff Green in the 66 car. Mark Martin on the outside, but he will have to go to the rear of the field. He's got a backup car he's starting in today.
Jeff Burton on the inside of row 15 and Dave Blaney on the outside.
Back in row 16, Sterling Marlin and Paul Menard made the starting field here today.
From 17 on the inside is Kenny Wallace in the 78 car. On the outside, Martin Truex Jr.
On the inside of row 18 is Kyle Petty. And there we see our Nextel Cup points leader, Matt Kenseth, on the outside of row 18.
Row 19, Ward Burton back in the 4 car this week, and he starts alongside Michael Waltrip.
And on the inside of row 20, Greg Biffle in the 16 car has got his work cut out for him. And on the outside, Travis Kvapil.
On the inside of row 21, we find Tony Raines and also Jamie McMurray on the outside.
And making his final start at the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, two-time series champion Terry Labonte starts 43rd. Drivers that didn't make it, Mark Martin and David Stremme, are both in a backup car. Both will drop to the back of the starting field. Pace car to pit road. Yellow flag back in its stand, waiting for the green flag to wave here at Texas. Race number 8 in the chase for the championship.
Wow, check out Kurt Busch in that 2 car.
Kurt comes from 3rd to lead the first lap.
Oh, Gilliland sandwiched in there. Robbie Gordon, thankfully, backs off and gives him the spot, or that could have been ugly.
That could have been very ugly very soon.
Kyle Busch in that 5 car was paying attention, so he didn't run over Robbie. Tony Stewart in the 20, last week's winner. There's Robbie in the 7. Elliott Sadler, who started outside the front row in the 19 car.
That 19 car is working his way back towards the back.
Yeah, well, I think right now, especially with the track conditions, the bottom is the place to be. That's where I think everybody needs to get right now.
In other words, Elliott Sadler does not want to be where he is.
No, he's trying to find a spot to get down, but nobody's been polite enough yet to... There you go. Casey Kane, his teammate, gave him a break.
On board with Casey, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right behind him. Drivers in yellow on the ticker at the top of the screen are the 10 men in the chase for the Nextel Cup. There you see the updated points as they run right now. And a big shift early because Kenseth had to start 36th. And has worked his way up to 32nd.
And there, BP, what you were explaining on that Home Depot garage, you see Earnhardt got right on the back of that 9 cars bumper. It loosened up Casey a little bit, which slid him up the racetrack, and it's exactly what that showed when we showed it. Marty, what's going on with the 8? Because right now he's going forward.
Exactly, Wally, and that's what they expect to do for most of the day. I talked to Tony Uri Jr. this morning. He said, we expect to see the same race today that we saw last week in Atlanta. Our car, same one we ran there. We think the tires will handle the same way they did there. And then that race, they ran up front for most of the day, doing what they're doing right now, going forward, currently 9th.
But as we saw in Atlanta, if we remember, his car was really, really good at the get-go, and then that car fell off after some laps. So we'll just have to see if it's the same here at Texas.
David Gilliland in that 38 car started up front, but he's hanging in pretty well. Best run he's had in Nextel Cup races so far in his very abbreviated career.
Kyle Busch on board, looking at Gilliland in the 38. Here's Dave.
And that young driver has a veteran crew chief in Todd Parrott. Spoke with Todd this morning about their up front starting position. He felt very confident based on the way David's been running the mile-and-a-half tracks the last couple of weeks. Not always with the finishes, but running very well, and felt like they could hold their position early on in the race.
That's 6th and 7th right there.
There we go. Got him a little bit loose in the corner.
Junior's going to try and follow him through underneath. Oh, Gilliland knows he's there. Your Junior playing with the accelerator, gets out of the gas, then gets back in.
Yeah, you can't run this racetrack flat. What you do is you go down the corner here, you roll out of the throttle, you let the car roll about to the center, then you start picking up the gas again, and then you really hammer the throttle as you're coming off the corner.
Down the backstretch. Junior 4th in the championship standings. Currently runs in the 7th spot.
A couple of good-sized bumps down there in 3 and 4 BP that the guys are got to be careful on. When you get down on those bumps, you've got to be real careful what you're doing with that steering wheel and the throttle, because it can upset the car.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be on the throttle wide open and turn in the car and go through a bump, because it will spin out.
Pit road report from Matt Yoakum.
3 to go, Bill, and the 11 team and Denny Hamlin, they brought their moneymaker car, the car that swept both races at Pocono, here to Texas. Very optimistic, but early on the car extremely tight. He has lost 6 spots here in the early going. Dave?
And Matt, the 5-car of Kyle Busch right now being challenged by a Dale Earnhardt Jr. One of the places Jr. may be able to pass is from the center off the corner. Right now, Kyle's reporting that his car doesn't turn well at that spot. There goes Jr. Marty?
And Dave Wally and those guys were talking about the bumps, especially in 3 and 4. Junior doesn't like the bump in 1 and 2, Wally. So what he does, he tries to stay as low as he can. He said if you're 4 feet off that bottom white line in 1 and 2, you'll really hit that bump. If you're a little below that, you can kind of avoid that major bump in 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's a big bump down there, Marty. That'll make your CD player skip, won't it?
Exactly, and I'm sure Junior's just skipping right now because he's a little off that white line. You see that bump right there on the in-car camera as he went through it.
There's Tony Stewart, the race leader, and look who's right behind him, Mark Martin, and that is not the second place car. Mark is 35th and now 1 lap down. Lost a car here yesterday in practice, involved in a crash with Tony Raines.
So when they threw the green flag for today's event, that was his first lap on the racetrack with this car. Right front tire.
Jeff Burton, the man who just a couple of weeks ago was leading the championship standings.
Yeah, you could hear what happened before he hit the wall on that one. I believe a right front tire blew on that car.
Now I heard it go explode.
BP, you were talking to these guys in the garage. There was some concern about right fronts here?
A lot of concern with right front tires. Friday night in the Truck Series, had a couple of guys, Rick Crawford and Dennis Setzer, blew right front tires going down to turn 1. But these guys were working very hard to keep that right front as cool as possible, running hoses to the right front, running blowers to try to blow some cool air on them.
Because they're running so much camber.
Well, they're not running a lot of camber. They're running positive camber, but the car is so soft when it goes down, it sucks that right front tire in so much. And you got to really be, it's a fine line between having it sucked in too far.
Right. Dave?
And Bill, Jeff had just radioed into his crew, how many laps till we need to stop? And when they discussed the number 20, Jeff said, we'll never make it. You got to believe he was referring to the right front tire.
This is heartbreaking for Jeff Burton. Fought all year, worked his way into the chase, won at Dover, took over the championship lead. Now, inside of 3 races to go, headed for the garage after this hit.
And then, you know what? If you're going to blow a tire on a racetrack this fast, this is the best place to blow a tire. I mean, he just glazed off the wall. If he would have blown that tire going into turn 1 or turn 3, he would have hit a ton.
They wouldn't have worried about fixing that car. They'd have just thrown it away.
Allen.
4-tire stop, track bar, air pressure adjustments for Jimmy Johnson, bottom left frame, looking for a little help with the rear grip on this car. He's in the first pit stall on pit road and already gone, Matt.
Tony Stewart said the car was a little free when it started. It took about 15 laps to come in. He said, let's put him on boards. That's exactly what he did. A great stop by the Home Depot guys. 14.1, Marty.
Casey Gaines in the middle of your screen, Matt, a little bit slower stop, 15.1 for him. Up half around on the track bar. He said the car was just a little bit too tight, but he couldn't stand to be any tighter in the front end. So up a half around on the track bar, Bill.
Thank you, gentlemen. You heard the roar. Tony Stewart won the race off of pit road, but Junior picks up a couple of spots and gets to second. Jeff Burton maybe seeing his championship hopes go up in flames here at Texas. Rapidly closing in on the halfway mark here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
But Jimmy Johnson, that 48 car, had quite a scare just a couple of laps ago. He was running in the 2nd position. He's now back in 4th, and we heard him say to the crew, get ready, boys, get ready. Alan, what was he talking about?
Well, he slowed down the racetrack, Benny, and then he said, I got it, I got it. They're thinking, I just mouthed to Chad Canals, ignition box. Did he switch ignition boxes? And he looked at me and shook his head, yes. So they're thinking at this point that must have been what happened, that he might have had to switch to the backup ignition box inside the car, and that might have been what slowed him down for a second. But no definitive word down here quite yet.
And the ignition box really is the heart of that whole setup.
That's right, because it takes those 12 volts and multiplies them by about 50,000 times, so that you got about 500,000 volts going to the spark plug. And that's why that they have so much trouble with them, because it gets so hot trying to come up with that kind of juice and electricity, they burn the wires up.
And that's why they run 2 of them. Jeff Burton, back out on the racetrack, currently scored 43rd, 67 laps down. If he stays on the track and out of trouble, he will at least pass Michael Waltrip and Elliott Sadler. Took the crew just over 42 minutes to make the repairs for that 31 car. Hit the wall along the front stretch after cutting a right front tire. Updated championship standings. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, Burton was number 1. Right now, Jeff back in the 8th spot. It's Casey Kane in the 9, Kevin Harvick in the 29. Kane in 5th. Harvick runs 6th. Going around the 4 car of Ward Burton.
Track looks like it's in good condition, BP.
It sure does. These guys able to run the bottom of the racetrack. The outside groove is working as well.
But nobody's running it as well as Tony Stewart. Leads by 4.6 seconds over Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's not feeling real well this afternoon. Jamie McMurray in the 26 and Brian Vickers in the 25 did not pit. And according to my notes, they last pitted on lap 177. Kyle Busch in the 5 took 2 tires.
If this isn't a wreck, BP, I'd be surprised.
That very fast 20 car is right behind him in 4th.
Well, I just wonder if the 25 and 5 didn't do this strategy to try to help Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. Just to see what it would do, what it did to the car, and what they might do on the pit stop with 20 or 30 to go.
Stewart working on it.
Stewart is just flying right now. Going to get to 25. I mean, he's going to pass these guys almost fairly quickly. Yeah, I mean,
just a little over a lap.
But I just didn't know if they had wrecked before he got to the front.
He's only got McMurray left. Dave?
No talk from the 5 bunch about helping their teammate, but Kyle Busch just wants clean air on that 5 car. Has been frustrated in traffic all day. They said, what the heck, let's take a shot and get you toward the front.
But what, Alan?
I was just going to tell you about the thinking in Jamie McMurray's team's pits, which is, what do they got to lose? They pitted at lap 175, yes, but remember, we haven't run a whole lot of green flag laps since then. These 2 runs of the race have been fairly short because we had another caution in between there. So they don't have a lot of laps on their tires. And considering where they've been running and where they started all day, why not see if you can pick up a few spots on the cheap?
So what was that butt all about?
That butt was. I was just wondering if, you know, changing the 2 and getting in clean air, but how long that would be good with everybody else changing 4 tires if it wouldn't put them back in traffic real quick.
Bernsey?
Well, and part of the thinking is that you have the chance to get a mid-run caution when everyone wants to come back in, and you haven't lost too much, Wally. Don't you think that's the game?
No, that if you look at it that way, absolutely.
Boy, that's definitely.
But that's a lot of butts.
Yeah, that's a...
Actually, Kyle's running pretty good right now. I thought he would have lost 3 or 4 positions right off the green flag, but he's hanging in there in 2nd spot.
Matt Kenseth in that 17 car runs 18th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 19th. Whoa! Kenseth looking a little loose. Marty?
Bill, the 8-tire thing Dale Earnhardt Jr. wanted to try happened on this last stop. They restarted 20th, as you mentioned. Junior said the car is actually not too bad, a little too tight in the center of the corner. They'll probably take 4 here, maybe try 2 tires later in the race as well. They'll see, have to see how it works out on this run. Alan?
Well, Matt Kenseth's team continues to work on his car. They added a spring rubber a couple of stops back to try and help the handling, and they continue to try and chip away and get toward the front of the field. A top 8 car is what they thought they had at the start of the day. Obviously, it hasn't been that way so far. Jack Roush has just come down to visit with Robbie Reiser and talk about it.
This is for 6th. McMurray. Gordon. Jeff trying the inside. You see Kurt Busch just ahead of them. Kurt actually has the 6th spot. Update on Gordon from Matt.
Bill, the 4-time champ Gordon, has gone back and forth between tight and loose. Right now, he says the car is just so free, he cannot even put any wheel into it in the corner, or he feels like the car is just going to absolutely spin out in the last stop. Air pressure change again. They also went down on the track bar just to try to tighten up this 24 car.
AC Kane's going to try and take the position. Kane falls in line behind Gordon. McMurray holding his own for now after not pitting under the most recent caution. Boy, Gordon working real hard to try and get by him. Now Gordon and Kane clear the 26. Casey and Gordon side by side, and Casey's got the position. Hard racing here with 127 to go. Coming into this race, Tony Stewart had led the most laps in 5 races this season. He won 3 of them. Led 146 at Atlanta last week. Tony Stewart has been in control most of the day. We've run 300 laps now. He has led 244 of them. But 26-year-old Casey Kane in that 9-car runs 2nd. 7 career wins for Casey, 6 this season, including 1 earlier this year right here at Texas. Kane has run 4 races at this track, has a 1st place and a 2nd place finish among his accomplishments here in Texas. Led 63 laps in April.
Stewart's going to run into a little traffic here. See how he gets through it. See, now he's got two cars in front of him that are side by side. That's going to let Casey Kane close the gap considerably.
And Tony's saying, come on, guys, somebody pick a lane.
Look at here. Look how much Casey Kane gained just in that one corner because Tony Stewart had no place to go.
And Ward-Burton in that 4 car is trying to stay on the lead lap. So whole race Stewart pretty hard. Tony down low, clears Ward. Kane off of 2.
Ooh. Listen to the wall there in the 49 car a little bit.
Casey Kane looking to the low groove, trying to move around Ward-Burton. Tony Stewart, 2-time series champion. Disappointing night at Richmond, Virginia when he failed to qualify for the chase for the Nextel Cup.
See, the bad break that Casey Kane is catching is Ward-Burton is running his line.
Right.
And when he had to move down on the racetrack, it slowed him down.
You can see the lap traffic ahead. Stewart, the orange car right in front. Then more lap traffic. Going to see how the pit strategy plays out here in the closing laps at Texas. Alan.
Well, remember that story about guys and faster tires maybe helping out? Matt Kenseth is going to try something. Robbie Bryger here. This is going to be short pitting, seeing if the speed they gain on fresh tires is going to help them pick up some spots from where they were running in this last run of the race. Kenseth is gone.
Well, that's a new strategy that we hadn't even thought of.
Where that may help if the caution comes out after all these guys have pitted and changed 2 or none, it may make a huge difference. It's just all going to depend how and if the yellow falls.
Marty?
Well, Bill, I can promise you this. Casey Kane is trying to catch that 20 car. He came on the radio. He said, guys, I'm sorry. I have killed my front tires trying to catch him. Kenny Francis came back and said, listen, ride right where you are. We're about 10 laps from our stop, about lap 314, now 9 laps until the 9 car hits pit road.
Thanks, Marty. Interesting move by Robbie Reiser, crew chief for Matt Kenseth. Kenseth currently second in the championship standings.
Now, I don't believe that Kane has any choice but change right sides. Because if he's burned the right front tire off the car, trying to catch Tony Stewart, then he needs to get that tire off and a better one on there.
And he's obviously now communicated that to his crew.
Well, no, he did. He said that he burned the right front off, trying to catch him. So, yeah, so exactly. Now they're like, well,
we got to do it.
Yeah, got nothing to lose. May as well change 2. Go for it.
And Benny, if you're a driver like Tony Stewart right now, you have complete confidence in your over-the-wall gang because they deliver for you week in and week out, and they have been virtually flawless today.
Oh, what, the last 2 weeks?
Right. Martin Truex Jr. in the 1, Dale Earnhardt Jr. driving that red 8. That's for the 7th spot, and Clint Boyer's right behind him. Truex the 7th, Earnhardt 8th. Boyer 9th. Strong run for Dale Earnhardt Jr. after hitting the wall on lap 170. Terry Labonte slow on the apron of the racetrack. More on Kenseth, Alan?
Yeah, Bill, just want to clarify what they're thinking by short pitting. Matt Kenseth right now is running nearly 1 second faster than the race leader on the racetrack by having those fresh tires. So by stopping now and running that second a lap faster, as long as the caution doesn't come out, he's going to gain a lot of ground on these guys he was racing with and might even be able to pull off a top 15 finish here. The only risk to the strategy is if the caution comes out, he's going to have given up maybe 8-9 positions on the racetrack by getting trapped a lap down to other guys he was racing with before. So they're gambling on the caution not coming out and using the speed to try and steal some points away that might win him a championship in a couple of weeks.
Big gamble and a big if. We've had 10 caution flags so far today, 25 laps to go.
But again, they had nothing to lose. Where they were running, they had nothing to lose. I mean, they weren't going to get, I mean, they were right around 16th, 17th. They weren't really getting anywhere from that point.
But if the caution comes out now, he's going to be back about 25th.
And you're right, Wally, he was 18th when they decided that was the move they were going to make. There's race leader Tony Stewart. Won a week ago tonight in Atlanta. Had a very strong car.
Is that Jimmy Johnson in front of Casey Kane?
That's just what I was looking at. Yes.
Just made the move.
Johnson has moved into that second spot, and he is a half second a lap faster than Tony Stewart.
Allen.
Well, you know, one of the things that the crew chiefs do down here on pit road, well, you guys know BP, Wally, and Bill, but for people who aren't familiar, they watch a computer that shows every lap that their car and every other car on the field runs. For the last 25 laps, Jimmy Johnson has been faster than the two cars in front of him. He came from 2.5 seconds behind to catch Casey Kane, and now he's only 0.7 of a second behind Tony Stewart, and he's running a little bit faster by 1/10 or 2/10 of a second per lap than the race leader.
So Tony has a new picture in his mirror.
See, now Casey Kane, the 17 car took a chance. He short pitted. That's exactly what Casey Kane needs to do right now.
Because
His tires have given up. Tony Stewart has pulled away from him. Johnson has passed him for the second position.
Yeah, and all he's going to do is keep losing ground. So you're right, BP. They should hit the pit.
Jimmy Johnson trying to close in on Tony Stewart.
Like Stewart has caught that 38 car. He's been kind of hung behind him there for a couple laps. Now he gets down underneath him. Boy, Johnson is there.
2 years ago, in the first ever chase for the Nextel Cup Championship, Jimmy Johnson finished second by 8 points. Right now, he runs second on the track behind Tony Stewart, but leads the championship standings by 63 points with 2 races to go. Johnson and his crew chief Chad Knaus have worked extremely hard trying to capture that Nextel Cup Championship.
Ooh, Stewart bobbled a little bit right over that bump. Car got a little bit loose.
And there you see Kenseth with the new tires right behind those two.
But no forward. Forward.
Marty.
And Bill, that was Tony Uri Jr. You heard. He said 4 tires. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. will gamble a little bit here and take on 4 fresh tires. Kind of late to be doing that. The fuel to get to the end. The tire carrier slips as he comes around the back side of the car. They're going to get the 4 tires on and get Jr. back out on the track. They're going to also make an air pressure adjustment on that 8 car. He said the car was extremely loose for Casey Kane. They asked him, when do you want to come? He said as soon as possible. They're going to stick with the plan, though, of 2 tires on Casey Kane's car. They're going to make a track bar adjustment as well. Go down 1 round on that track bar. He was a little too loose by himself, and he killed the car when he went. He stalled it, and then he got it going, but they lost some time on pit road, Bill.
You have to be mistake-free on these pit stops. The time you lose, you will not make up on the racetrack. Scott Riggs on pit road. Allen.
That is from 4th place. Scott Riggs pits, Bill, where he was running before this stop. 2 tires, top off the fuel. Gone. We're expecting Jimmy Johnson any second.
Riggs not a contender for the championship, trying to get his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win.
Bring around and pit. Pit this time. Pit this time.
Chad Knaus telling his driver, pit this time.
It's driver Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car. And look at the ground he's lost to Stewart.
I'm telling you guys, I think Stewart looks up in the mirror when he decides he wants to go. He just goes.
His pressure's the right one on the right, huh?
Yep.
The accelerator.
Clint Boyer, Marty.
He spent this entire run rallying back from restarting 11th. They had a lug nut hang up on the right rear, as BP told you earlier. They're also going to take 4 tires here, hoping that these tires will help them gain some of this track position back and the fuel to make it all the way to the end. Matt?
Tony Stewart said, I just want a small air pressure change in the right front. The car has gone extreme to the tight side. They were talking about if they went 4, they would do a left rear change, but only a 2-tire change for Stewart. So he doesn't lose a whole lot of time here on pit road.
Now we're going to see how it all plays out. Tony Stewart.
Now Johnson is on pit road. Allen.
Let's see how many tires they're going to take here. I believe this is going to be a 4-tire change on the 48 car. They have the left side tires out. Here they come around the near side of the car. Chad Knaus rolling the dice that the extra 2 fresh tires will be worth enough speed to perhaps overtake Tony Stewart. Matt?
And Kevin Harvick, who won Saturday's Busch race, already service is complete. Small fuel and right side change. Meanwhile, the 24 of Jeff Gordon, he comes in. He could have hit anywhere from lap 314 on. He now pulls in as the 42 of Mears. Also, it's his stop. Everyone going right side tires.
Jeff Gordon careful not to exceed the speed limit exiting pit road. Kyle Busch headed for Dave Burns.
And he said, my spot in turn 2 is still bad. That's a spot where his car gets a little bit tight, wants to push, and but he encouraged the team not to make changes to the car. He'll get a cleaner windshield, they pull a tear-off away, and just 2 right side tires and fuel for Kyle, and the tire changer scoots to safety. 99 car of Carl Edwards in as well. They will come in, they give up, when they started making stops, they were running 12, and Carl will receive right side tires as well. They've got the left sides up on top of the wall, had talked about giving him that handling advantage, but they're going to stay with 2 only on Edwards.
So Carl Edwards, his last win came at this track, has gone winless this season. His last victory 1 year ago tonight. Bobby Labonte on pit road. Allen.
The right side tire change for Bobby Labonte. They've been just on the fringes of the top 10 for much of the afternoon. He pits from the lead here.
Cycling through green flag pit stops here at the Texas Motor Speedway, inside of 15 laps to go. Rookie J.J. Yaley currently scored the race leader, but there's Tony Stewart right behind him in that orange car.
And when this thing cycles out, Stewart will have 10 seconds on Jimmy Johnson. That's the difference between 2 tires and 4 tires with 12 to go. So that means the 48 car has got to be over a second a lap faster in order to catch the 20 to win this race.
Now has less than 12 laps to do it. Those are teammates out of the racing stable of Coach Joe Gibbs. Rookie J.J. Yaley in the 18. Veteran Tony Stewart in the 20. This passes for the lead, but Yaley has not pitted yet. This puts Stewart back up front.
Now, it's important that Stewart doesn't get hung up in a lot of traffic, or that will let the guys that are chasing him catch him that have 4 tires.
Matt Kenseth was 18th when he pitted for the 4 tires. Right now he runs 18th.
And I tell you what, Tony Stewart has over Casey Kane about a 4-second lead, almost 4.5 seconds. Tony Stewart must have done an incredible job getting on and off pit road.
And Jimmy Johnson has to be more careful of that, Benny, because he truly can't afford the speeding penalty because he's in the chase and Stewart is not.
And Stewart can bump up to 100 RPMs off the maximum pit road speed.
Matt Yoakum.
Bill, in the car rotation, the 20 team had planned on bringing a different race car here to Texas, but after winning at Atlanta in Victory Lane, they made the decision. We're going to bring this particular race car and see if they can make it back-to-back wins. If you recall, they really haven't changed much in this race car. They basically power washed it, and they even left the sticker that they put on the dash last week for Stewart as motivation. Simply said, hardware space available. Well, guess what? They took home that huge Baz Pro Shops trophy, had to put it in 2 pieces. They've got another trophy here at Texas. They've got some space available to Team Hauler to go back to Huntersville.
Got somebody in the wall.
Caution has come out. Greg Biffle has hit the wall.
Man, this is going to change things now.
That 4 seconds you were talking about?
Gone. How about the 10 seconds? Gone. Now Stewart's got guys in his mirror that have 4 tires.
And if you're at the back of the field with 17 cars on the lead lap, does somebody come back there, come get tires to try and help their position a little bit?
It depends. I don't think Matt Kenseth is running enough laps. If 5 or 6 or 7 guys come in front of him, I think he needs to stay out.
Right. See how it plays out. Be a single file restart. Greg Biffle in the 16.
Looks like simply that the air left the right front tire rapidly.
Talked about it earlier. He felt that his motor was beginning to go south. Inside of 10 to go, it's a single file restart. No lap cars in the way. 4 to go as they take the green. Stewart leads at Texas.
Wow, and Harvick left the door open on the right side, so Jimmy Johnson's going to get one of those spots in a hurry.
Johnson in the 48 around Harvick in the 29, chasing race leader Tony Stewart.
That's not what Stewart wanted to see. Trust me, he's looking in the mirror for that 48 car. He wants to know where he's at.
Riggs runs second, but here comes Johnson on those 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, if he gets by Riggs here this lap without too much trouble, Tony's going to be a sitting duck.
But he's having a little trouble.
Yep.
He might get positioned down the back straightaway.
Bobble a little bit there with Riggs.
And that holds up Johnson. Couldn't find the avenue to get by. Kevin Harvick's going to go low. Riggs can't block them both. Johnson gets the position.
Oh, he's getting them loose. He's getting them loose. And
Riggs is run hard into the wall. Caution is out.
Oh, Kenseth goes around.
Kenseth, another championship chaser. Jeff Gordon is through the grass. Scott Riggs running second. Now a hard hit sits in the middle of the tri-oval here at Texas.
But the race isn't over. Under NASCAR rules, we will have a green, white checker. They have 2 more laps.
And that's not good news for Tony Stewart, but it's good news for Jimmy Johnson.
There's Riggs.
And it looked like on that deal, Harvick got right up on the 10 car. It just took that air off that spoiler.
Go back and take a look at what happened under caution here at Texas.
The 10 bobbled just a little bit. The 29 was coming. I don't think the 29 ever hit him, but he got close enough to him where he took the air off the spoiler, and that's all it took. Oh, Truex just gets tapped, but hangs on to it.
And Junior just misses it. There you see Kenseth at the round, gets tapped again. Gordon through the grass. Number of cars using pit road as an avenue to avoid the trouble on the front stretch. There's Harvick right behind Riggs.
That was an extremely hard blow. There's a rear spring bouncing across the racetrack.
It'll take a while to clean this up.
Kenseth is just probably going, not again.
Boy.
He's hard to have to start in the back.
Back to mud pie right now.
Yeah.
Kenseth has worked his way up to the 9th position.
Yeah. Oh, he's been there and back and there and back. I mean, it's just been a long day for those guys.
Listen. You can see the safer barrier there. The softer wall, as they call it in NASCAR. An energy-absorbing barrier. Still a hard hit for Riggs. Boy, Carl Edwards went around. On board, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
As soon as you see the smoke, you know. Trouble. Oh, there wasn't even smoke on that one.
Ooh. Wow. You're clear, buddy.
Tell you what, coming back on the racetrack, he bottomed out big time.
Denny Hamlin's on board.
Wow, good job, Denny.
Did he get a piece of it or not?
I don't think he did. He's going to have to come in and change those tires because he flat spotted them, but
you know, Earnhardt was in one wreck, but he has missed at least 3 tonight. Green flag's in the air. 2 laps to decide it at Texas. Johnson hangs with Stewart on the start, looks at the high side, then ducks in behind him. Flash bulbs everywhere. Stewart low, Johnson high. Harvick in 3rd. And Kyle Busch and Clint Bowyer, Earnhardt Jr. 6th. Tony Stewart has been strong all day, has led 277 of the 338 laps. White flag, last lap.
pretty even that lap. I think he's going to be able to get him.
Doesn't look that way.
Down the backstretch for the final time. Tony Stewart won last week in Atlanta with a dominating run, strong pit stops, a good crew. Outside the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship, cannot defend his title, but he can be strong down the stretch. Tony Stewart wins at Texas. a run for Tony Stewart.
Jason Shapiro, the car chief on that 20. And Jerry Cook.
The field was set for the Nextel Cup chase for the championship after the race in Richmond, Virginia in September. When Tony Stewart was locked out following that race, he said, "We have one goal, to win them all." He has won 3 of the first 8, 2 to go. Phoenix and Homestead. Led 278 of the 339 laps. Unofficially, it's Johnson, Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Clint Boyer.
I wonder what car he'll bring to Homestead, BP.
I would guess the same car.
Those fans are going to the fence because Tony Stewart's trademark is to climb the fence after a win. Unofficially, here are the championship standings with 2 races to go in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Jimmy Johnson just 17 points in front of the 17 team of Matt Kenseth. Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, the top 5. The maximum point game possible in one race, 156. So next week at Phoenix, any one of those top 5 drivers could leave as the championship leader.
I told him he better get him a mattress.
You better get what?
A mattress to put on the racetrack. Underneath, one of these days he's going to slip.
Stewart taking off his safety equipment, parks his car at the start-finish line, then he will climb the fence. Unofficial results for tonight's race. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, good comeback from Kyle Busch, strong run by Clint Boyer, Earnhardt Jr. with an amazing run. Tony Stewart climbs the fence to the flag stand and will celebrate with the fans.
Tony, that race, you led so much of it. Were there any difficulties from where you sat in keeping that car out in front?
Leading's not always the best place to be, believe it or not. I mean, you kind of get complacent while you know the guys behind you are trying to make their cars faster, and you don't know how much better you can get. I mean, I thought we had the perfect car all day, and we really did. I mean, there were times that guys could run with us on the front of a run, and Casey was the closest guy to getting by us, and even he fell off as the run went on. But you know, the pit crew had awesome pit stops today, and everybody on this Home Depot crew did an awesome job with this Monte Carlo SS. It's just unbelievable today. I mean, in your career, I mean, I've been racing 27 years, and I can count on 2 hands the cars that I had like today. I mean, you just don't get them that often. So days like today are when you appreciate it.
The late cautions and the late restarts with different guys behind you. Maybe then you'd been racing all day a couple of times. Thoughts there?
I didn't want to see those last 2 cautions. I mean, we had a big enough lead there with 6 to go that, you know, we were in really good shape. But you know, the first caution comes and we stay out, and we know that Jimmy's got 4 tires, only, you know, 2 cars in between us, and that wasn't too big a deal. Even when he got to second there, I knew that we had a big enough lead that we could make it to the end no problem and run our pace. But a little more nerve-wracking when you got 2 to go and you got a guy with 2, you know, 4 tires that are behind you that are, you know, his car got good at the end of the night, obviously. So it was a little more nerve-wracking when you got 4 tires behind you.
As well as you've run in the chase, does it make you stop and do it all? Any what-ifs?
No. I mean, I wish we could have got on this string a little earlier, but you know, I think I've been inspired by my new sponsor in Hiram, Georgia, with Ray Rockmore's Taxidermy. I mean, he's been telling me I need to win races so I can get up in victory lane and promote his taxidermy company. So I'm excited. I mean, you know, we just missed. That's all there is to it. I mean, you know, there's not any of that stuff that, you know, well, you know, what if and what if. I mean, it's a lot easier on a day like today when I'm not worried about points. All I cared about was winning that race. I wasn't worried about where any of those other guys in the points were, and that makes it a lot easier. I mean, it's 2 totally separate races now each week. I mean, those top 10 guys got 10 times more pressure than I got just trying to go out and win a race now.
very dominant today. Congratulations to you and your team.
Well, that's due to Zippy. I mean, Zippy was the one that made the changes to the car last night, this morning, and this one's for Terry Labonte. He's had an awesome career, and hate to see him go, but hopefully he'll come by the track every now and then. So this one's for Terry.